Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, brother, for all that lovely introduction, except that he said hundreds of talks. Nola, for the last COVID. This is actually my first talk meeting live human beings. all the time it was all devas only listening. Very nice. And I think we could begin by actually thinking of this. Why did I choose this topic for today as the sort of first talk after the COVID? Because a lot of people were thinking that the world is coming to an end. I mean, they always say the world is coming to an end, you know, and by that way frighten people to turn to religion. It didn't, okay? But when I chose this topic, it is something that has been concerning all of us. Is the world really coming to an end? What does the Buddha think about this? All right, of beginnings and endings of the world. Then I walked in here, all this prepared, took me months to get this ready, and then I walked in there and I see the Buddha talking to me. Let go of the past. Let go of the future. Remain in the present. That is your only concern. So actually, Dhamma talk over, please go home. Let go of the past, let go of the future, remain in the present. That is the teaching of the Buddha. All right? And the Buddha, why was he doing this? Because during his time, there were 6 groups, 6 religions actually, 6 great. India was a fantastic time at that time where the intellectual energy was so strong. There were 6 different views of the world. And most of them were talking about the beginning and the end of the world. Even today, Buddhism is the only religion which discourages speculation about beginning and ending. Okay? But then why are we talking about this anyway? Yeah, brings me to my second slide, which says curiosity is part of being human. If you are a human being, yeah, this is what has brought us over 1 million years, actually 2 million years, from, you know, walking around with our cousins, the monkeys. Yeah, how come monkey remain monkey and we evolved? This one word, curiosity. We wanted to know what's on the other side. We were just not happy sitting down there, not doing anything. That is what made us manusya. Manusya comes from a Pali word. It's not a Malay word. It's a Pali word. Manas usya. Manas, mind. Manas is mind. Usya, develop. That which can develop the mind. Animals have minds. Yeah, animals have minds, but they cannot develop it. They don't have language. We do. So that's the first thing that brings us, and it's a mind that brings us with this curiosity. This is the mind that asks us, where did we come from? Where are we going? And what are we doing here? All right? And no matter who you are, which religion you belong to, whether you have no religion, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you are a human being, you will ask 3 existential questions. Yeah, and this is what makes us human. Who am I? You want to know, who am I? Who are you? Who are you? And every religion addresses this question first. Most of them will say you are a creature of God. You have been created by God. You do God's will. Yeah? Not all. Yeah? Who am I? Next, very important question. I'd like to ask this question at the parliament now with PRU coming. What are you doing here? What are you doing there? Yeah, messing around and stealing our money. Okay, what are we doing here? Macam anjing kejar ekor, pusing tak berhala. Yeah, so third question, am I needed? Yes, you are. Vote for Bien. Okay, but besides that, are you needed? You came to this world, you have to leave. In between, who cares? Who cares whether you are here or not? Politicians will try to tell you very much that you need them. Do we? Think. Forget about other people. Now we are only thinking of yourself. Who am I? What am I needed? And what am I doing here? Am I needed? These three questions, okay? In the last century, there was a psychologist. His name was Abraham Maslow. And he came up, what do we need most in life? All of you, as long as you are a human being, what do you need most in life? And to save time, I will answer the question, happiness. All of us want happiness in one way or another. And all religions promise you that happiness. If not in this life, then in the next life. Okay? Incidentally, Buddhism says don't worry about happiness in the next life. We don't know whether God or not. What we do know is this, the present, now. But let's come back to our topic, okay? Now, so the question, why are we curious? And what is it? And it is a curiosity that makes us want to know. And if we get the right answers, this guy says, Maslow, he says, we will be happy. Then he goes out and he puts 7 points, yeah, which I can't read at the back, and this is too thing. So 7 points which you need hierarchy of happiness. What is the most basic thing? Even if you are not a human being, you need certain things to be happy. And that to do that, you got 7. One, the most basic is food. We all need food. We all need shelter. And we all need to, this is the urge to continue the species. So we need sex. When my students hear this, they jump and run out of the class because we need sex. He says, wait, the one later, you grow up first. Okay? Right. But food, shelter, but procreation to make sure the species does not die out. Now, if we get that, we still cannot say we are happy. All right? We need food, shelter, sex. We need to feel safe. Yeah? We need to feel safe. We need to feel a sense of belonging. Now, why are so many people running around, refugees, going from one country, leaving everything, going somewhere else? What is that urge? The urge to feel safe. The urge to feel I am needed. Yeah? If a lot of Malaysians are migrating out of the country. Why? Okay? Basically, they feel there's no place for me here. There is, okay? So, belonging. Then we need self-esteem. Higher, you notice it's going higher. Now you need to be respected. Respected yourself, respect others. That's why people do so many things, so that people will look up to them. So we need, but if we have all of this, will we still be happy? No, because we are manusya, because we have a mind. Yeah? And that mind is curious, and the mind says we need to know. Development of science and technology. We need to know. Now above that is order, beauty. I always say this, I love to come to Bandar Uttama because I think it's one of the most beautiful shrine rooms I have ever been in. I think the color scheme, the sort of the Japanese kind of Zen. But the Buddha didn't have this, he only had a tree. Okay, what was it that made us do this? It's this need, we can't eat it. You can't eat order, you can't eat beauty. But you still need to beautify things. Okay? So, but if you have all of that, will you still be happy? No. Because at the end of the day, it's called self-actualization. And what is that? Who am I? What am I doing here? Am I need? Until these questions are answered, you cannot be happy. And therefore, technically we are saying, as long as you're a human being, you cannot be happy. Because you will never get the answer to these three questions. Unless, of course, a Buddha comes along and you gain enlightenment, that these three questions are answered through enlightenment. Okay? So I can go on forever there, but let's move forward. The next, we are talking about beginnings. Yeah. I told you that this question, who am I, what am I doing here, am I needed, where did the world come from? The who am I goes back to where did I come from. All right? And many religions came out of the world, and there are many theories as to how we came about. The most basic is we were created. The world was created. And we are creatures of God. And we do what God wants us to do. That's creationism. On the other hand, Buddhism included, other religions will say, no, we were not created. We evolved. We just evolved. Then the question comes, what is your first beginning? And the Buddha's answer to that is anamatagga. The Buddha's answer to that is the beginning of the world is unknowable. He does not say there is no beginning. All right? He says it is unknowable. Yeah? Don't worry about the past. And then later we'll come that again. Why does the Buddha say, don't waste your time on this question? Don't waste your time about where you came from. Your problem is you are here now, and get out of it. Okay? Right. Then, theocentric and homocentric. All the religions of the world can be divided into two. Theocentric meaning everything depends on God. You can't even breathe without God. And many religions believe that. Theocentric, based on God. On the other hand, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism say, no, God doesn't come into this picture. Yeah? We created ourselves. We are human. All right? And every time we think, we create ourselves. So we are homocentric. Don't begin with God, begin with man. If you understand yourself, then you will understand the universe. That's the Buddhist and Taoist and Confucianist as well. There may be gods, but gods themselves are subject to this principle. Okay? So, remember Confucius was asked, Master, teach us to understand heaven and earth. And Confucius is reputed to have replied, why do you wish to understand heaven? Understand earth. Heaven knows how to look after itself. You don't be a kepo. Okay? Understand the world, and you will understand the universe. So that is homocentric approach. And now we come to this point there and this one. During the Buddha's time, the same concern was there. So this monk, one of my favorite stories, this monk, his name was Malunkyaputta. And Malunkyaputta comes to the Buddha and notice his language. Yeah? He was an arrogant fellow. He goes to the Buddha and he says, Master, you must tell me. You must tell me, I am Malunkyaputta. You must tell me, does the world have a beginning? Does the world have an ending? Does the world have a beginning and an ending? Does the world have no beginning and no ending? What we are discussing today lah. Okay? And then he tells the Buddha, if you know the answer, say so. If you don't know the answer, say so. If you don't know the answer, I'm going away from you. I'm leaving you. If you cannot answer this question. And the Buddha's reply is perfect. He says, hey, Malungkya Putta, you are threatening to leave me if I don't answer your question. In the first place, did I ask you to join me? You want to go now, the door is open. Okay? Yeah. That is the Buddhist attitude, yeah? The Buddhist attitude is, you want to come, come, but come humbly. You want to leave, we are not stopping you. Okay, that door is always, and it's what has guided Buddhism for 26 centuries. Okay? Then the Buddha tells again, it's to do with whether we should be discussing this topic or not. All right? Buddha tells Malungkya Putta, Malungkya Putta, you want to know about beginning and ending of the world. All right? You want to know whether the world exists or the world does not exist. You want to know where you come from. Yeah? You are like a man who has been shot with a poison arrow. He goes to war and a poison arrow, and he's only got about 3 minutes to live. And his assistants come to pull out the arrow quickly. But he says, no, stop. Don't pull out this arrow until you tell me who shot the arrow. So they ran and found, oh, you shot the arrow, okay. Then he says, no, wait. What's his father's name? What's his mother's name? Where did he come from? Who created him? By the time they found out all the answers to those questions, he was dead. Similarly, Malungkya Putta, you are struck with the poison arrow of samsara. You are in this world suffering now. Don't worry about where it started. You are suffering now. You are growing old. You are falling sick. Yeah? You are dying. You have all these things affecting you now. What you want, you cannot get. What you don't want, chases after you. All these problems now, you want to know who made you? So forget that, pull out the arrow. That is the teaching of the Buddha. The Buddha does not tell you where you came from. He says, not my. He did not say, I don't know. He said, but it is not relevant. Now that is what is very important. Don't waste your time looking for unnecessary things. You see, a lot of people ask us of other religions, say, you don't know who made you. Buddhists have no God. So you don't know her. So in that case, your Buddha didn't know. The Buddha not didn't know. He said, what I know, is more than all the leaves in the forest. What I know is more than all the leaves in the forest. But what I teach you is only 4 leaves. Against all the leaves in the forest, only 4 I teach you, which is relevant to you. I teach you about suffering. Yeah? How does that suffering come about? Suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering. You want to be happy? I teach you. Don't worry about being happy in heaven tomorrow. I teach you to be happy now. Let go of the past. Let go of the future. Stay in the present. That is the secret of happiness. Don't waste your time talking about beginning and ending. Okay? And for this, but while that is so, while he told Malungkya Putta, I'm not answering your question because it is irrelevant. Yeah? The Buddha says throughout, many times the Buddha said, monks, this is very important because as Buddhists we need to know what we are doing. Okay? And the monks, I only teach one thing, suffering and its end. I don't ask me about calculus and trigonometry. Don't waste your time with me on that. Okay? I only teach suffering and its end. And that suffering and ending is now. At this moment, I will teach you how to be happy. Don't worry about what happens tomorrow. If you are happy today, of course you'll be happy tomorrow. until the day you die. Then when you die, if you have been happy all along, of course, you will continue to be happy. That is my secret. That's all I am teaching you. Don't look for anything more than that. Okay. Why he said that to Malunkia Putta, I'm not going to answer your question because it's irrelevant. There were times when it was necessary for the Buddha to teach about the beginning of the world. Yeah, but it was, his purpose was not to explain how the world began, but to show that humans are all equal by birth. This is from the Aganya Sutra. This is where there is a sutra in the Digha Nikaya where the Buddha does talk about beginnings. But his purpose was not academic. He had another reason for that. We will see that in a minute. Let's hear what the Buddha says himself. I am one who says, whether the world is eternal or not, there is death, and there is suffering, and there is woe, lamentation, despair. Remember the 5, yeah? Birth and death, suffering and woe, lamentation and despair. Whether I teach you about beginning or not, it is there. That is the poison arrow. What I teach is the means to lead the destruction of these things. What I teach is how to destroy suffering. Remember, therefore, what I have said, I have said. I only talk about the Four Noble Truths. That's what I have said. That I have said. And what I have not said about beginning of the end of the world, I have not said. Why didn't I answer? The Buddha says, explaining why he didn't answer those questions. Because they are not profitable. You're wasting your time asking about whether God made you or not. Not the principle of the holy life. Yeah? You are good not because you want to make God happy. You are good because you want to be happy. Because goodness brings you happiness. That's the reason. And answering all these questions do not lead to peace. All these questions, look at the world today, look at everything that's going wrong. Yeah? Does the fact that this world was created by a God explain anything? What the Buddha says is, you take this thing into your own hands. You create the happiness. Okay? They do not lead to peace. They do not lead to supreme wisdom. But we come back now and say, okay, in that case, why did the Buddha give this Aganya Sutra about how the world began? Okay? And let's go. This is going to take a little bit of time. What was the occasion? On one occasion, 2 Brahmins, as you know, during the Buddha's time, there were 4 castes in India, even today. The Brahmins, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, yeah, and the Kshatriyas. 4 castes that were ruling India. The Brahmins were the highest caste, and they said they had been put in the highest caste by God. God had created them because they came out of the Brahma's mouth. So God created Brahmins, came out from the mouth. Therefore, they were the number 1 people with the divine right to step down on all the others. Okay? So Brahmins were enjoying all the privileges. On the other hand, the other 3 castes, the worst of them were the Shudras. Even today, the untouchables, they are suffering in India. All right? Because all this was created by God. The Buddha comes along and says, no, there's no such thing. All human beings are the same. Yeah? In fact, human beings are related to animals even. Okay? Only we look different. So don't go around saying, I am superior to you because of my birth. The Buddha says, not by birth does one become a Brahmin, but by what one does. If you are kind, if you are considerate, then you are a Brahmin. Doesn't matter who your father or your mother was. So when the Buddha started, and he started the Sangha, the order of monks, the first thing that went was your caste. You wear a yellow robe, you go bota, nobody can tell whether you are, even to the extent of even male and female, the Buddha didn't differentiate. Okay? Look at the way they dress. You see? So men, women, the Buddha cut through all that. But when these, a lot of Brahmins joined the Buddha, not only the other castes, but the Brahmins also joined the Buddha. When they joined the Buddha, the other Brahmins started to torture them. All right? And so now the story begins. So these two young guys, Brahmins, who are being scolded by the other Brahmins, have joined the Buddha. They ask the Buddha, is this true or not? Is it true that by joining the Sangha order, by joining and mixing with the other castes, yeah, we will go to hell? Then the Buddha tells this story. His intention is to say all humans are equal. His intention is to say because their origin is the same, yeah, this caste system and all that begins later. This is man-made. That was the Buddha's intention. But in teaching that, he left for us this Aganya Sutra, which helps us to explain to other religions what is the Buddhist attitude towards the beginning and ending of the world. You got the background to that, yeah? Most importantly, to begin with, and we are very amazed at how close the Buddha is to the teachings of modern science about the evolution of the Milky Way and all of that, the Big Bang, all right? It's not a one-to-one, but you could see that this was an enlightened mind that was able to go beyond God creating man to seeing how the entire universe, maybe we'll jump a bit further forward. When the Buddha talks about this, the first thing we have to bear in mind is the Buddhist understanding of time. We think in terms of 1 hour, 60 minutes, and so on. But in the Buddhist way of, according to the Buddha's teaching, yeah, we are talking in terms of billions and billions and billions of years, not 1 or 2 years. In those days, they didn't use the term billions or trillions or quadrillions. Yeah? The Buddha gives an example. How long will it take? Here is a mountain higher than Mount Everest. Okay? It's a mountain higher than Mount Everest. Every 100 years, a man comes with a silk handkerchief and strokes the Mount Everest once. Get the picture? Mount Everest, silk handkerchief, stroke once every 100 years. How long will it take for the whole mountain to be stroked away? Don't waste your time trying to think about that. Okay? Pull out the poison arrow. Okay? And somebody said that is equivalent to saying 1 followed by 140 zeros. 1 followed by 1 is 10, 100, 1,000, 140 zeros. That's 1. Okay? And millions of those. So we are beginning to see that the Buddha was talking in terms of the Big Bang, 15 billion years. But the point that the Buddha makes is this 15 billion years and the Big Bang is only one instance. This, look at this, the universe shrinks. Now, how does the universe work in the Buddhist way? We are talking about beginnings here. The world contracts. Now, in our case, Big Bang, there was the Big Bang and this expanded. So there is an expansion and this will go on expanding and then it will stop and start contracting. So there will be an expansion and a contraction and an expansion and a contraction. So our world came about, our world will live for a few 100,000 million years and then it will die anyway. Now, I don't think I'll be able to finish the ending of the world because we have no time to end the first part. Okay, but how does this operate? Yeah, how does the world operate? Have you ever considered, during the time of Jesus Christ, there were only 250 million people in the whole world. During the time of Jesus, as many people as there are in Indonesia today. Okay, that was during the time of Jesus. 1,500 years later, 250 became 500 million, 500 million. American War of Independence, 500 million became 1 billion. We got our first billion people only 200 years ago. Then 1940, 1 billion became 2 billion, 1940. June 1990, 2 billion became 5 billion. Today, 7 billion. I think in 30 years' time, they are saying 9 billion. Where did all these human beings come from? Growing and growing and growing. God working overtime in his factory? No. What does the Buddha say? The universe expands. As the universe expands, this universe expands, there are millions of other universes contracting. So it's all contracting and expanding, contracting and expanding. Yeah? Why the Buddhists say is, when planet Earth was not ready for so many people, there were only few people. But as planet Earth became better and better suited, more and more people come. Where do these people come from? As we are expanding, other universes are contracting and people are dying there. Manusya, they may not look like us. They look more like Star Wars people. But they are Manusya, that which has a mind. Now, those universes collapse. When those universes collapse, what happens? Where do they go? Comes to, how do I switch this on? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very quickly. Yeah. The universe shrinks. And some beings, because of good karma, are reborn in the clear light Deva. Deva means beings of light. So they are born, their job, they are good. They haven't done too much of bad, like you and me. All right? Just sleep during Dhamma talk, that's all. Okay? But if suddenly the world ends, what happens to you? You go and wait in this Deva world. Then they are born in, and they float bodiless, sustained by joy, piti. The universe expands, creatures are born, then planet Earth comes. In our case, not this planet, planet Earth comes. And this planet Earth is oxygen based. Other planets may be nitrogen based. We don't know. But there is life everywhere. So as world becomes better and better, more and more come. But according to the Buddha, that's why the Buddha didn't say there is one point of starting for the world. There are many points of starting. We are only talking about planet Earth and Manusya as we know it. Okay? Where did they start? They start Anamatagga. The beginning is unknowable. Notice the Buddha was still teaching about this. Yeah, he's got another purpose in mind. So that is how all came. So where is God? Where is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra? Nothing. They are just humans. Hands, legs, bodies, minds. Okay? Now, there was one mass of water all of it. After a long time, the earth is covered with a safe. The earth becomes habitable. Because we knew that for a long time, 15 billion years, there were no human beings around. There were no beings around. Okay? Somewhere along the line, important, yeah? Somewhere along the line, chemistry became biology. And the Buddhist explanation of that is, this biology is when the Devas came and colonized planet Earth. Okay? Right. So, these Devas at the beginning, they are beings of light. They have no body, so they don't need food. But what is characteristic of every human being existing today, all 7 billion of us? Anicca, dukkha, anatta. Lobha, dosa, moha. Lobha, dosa, moha is delusion, greed, aversion. All of us, every single human being who is not an arahant, yeah, all of us are deluded. We think there is an I. Because we think there is an I, we have my. We have a self, I. The self makes you selfish. Selfish, grasping. Yeah, some more than others think MDF. Okay, so, that was off mic, good. Because of that characteristic which we bring from many, many billions of years ago, the characteristic of greed. So they come, although they don't need food, they start eating from the earth. The earth is very nutritious. Okay? So greed sets in. And some are more greedy than others, understandable. They become, as they start eating from the goodness of the earth, yeah, their bodies become coarse. Devas don't need nutrition. We need nutrition. As we eat more and more nutrition, the body becomes coarse. Yeah. Then, as the body becomes more coarse, the Buddhist way of explaining this is devas, very high beings, beings of light. But as time goes by, they degenerate and degenerate. What motivates this degeneration? Notice, don't talk about God. What motivates is psychological. It's the greed. It's greed that's bringing us forward. It's greed that's getting us through COVID and all of this. Everything is explained by this one word, greed. Okay? So, the form gives way. Then, as the earth becomes more and more habitable, mushrooms, turnips, the bodies become visible, become coarse. As they become coarse, some bodies are beautiful, other bodies are not. Now, in other religions, male and female were created by God. Male superior, females meant to bring up children, yeah, provide children and do all the dirty work. Man's unpaid labor, men and women. In the Buddhist way of explanation, no. Male and female just evolved into male and female. No superior, no inferior. They are equal. But with the greed, there's another thing that we all suffer from, lust. So when we look at bodies which are beautiful, male gets attracted to female. Female gets attracted to male. Sex is invented. Sex comes up. Notice the degeneration. So when this sex gets invented, other beings are a little bit more pure. They see this and they say this is very ugly. They start beating up those who are engaged in that act of sex. They start beating up. Now instead of stopping, they do what we humans do, they hide. So instead of stopping the sexual action, they go and continue, but they hide in a cave. And they start building. What's happening? Technology. They are building shelters. Okay? At the same time that this is happening, this degeneration is happening, yeah? They start building shelters, the food becomes scarce. When the food starts to become scarce, they have to start growing. They have to start planting paddy. They have to start thing. Then there are happy people, hardworking people and lazy people. Notice what is happening? Because of that, people start planting. Technology begins. Okay? As they start to plant, they say every day they go out, they eat, hunters and gatherers. They go and eat what they find in the... Some of them say lazy to go every day, lazy. Go every day, so they start keeping for 1 week. Storage. Then others see that, they say, why we have to go and do all this? These people have already storage. What we will do is we will steal. So theft gets invented. You see, laziness sets in, male and female differentiation, relationships, segregation, privacy, dualism. You got all that? All right? As a result of the physical development, the Buddha says, the more we develop physically, the more we degenerate spiritually. So theft has begun. People are starting to store goods. They start stealing. When they start stealing, others start taking sticks, fighting begins. Punishment begins. And they start fighting with each other. Then after some time, some intelligent ones say, notice what's happening here, some intelligent say, we can't do this all the time, we can't be fighting, so let us Mahasammatta, democracy. Let us choose one among us who is the handsomest and the strongest. We will make him our leader. He will decide whom to punish and whom not to punish. So what is happening is we have elected, yeah? Not God created a king, but the people have decided. The Buddha says that's the best form of government, a democracy. All right? And it's Mahasammatta, the people's choice. So when that happens, they say, but we cannot simply make that guy do all the work, we have to pay him. So how do we pay him? Each of us gives a share of our goods. Taxation begins. I said, this is all in the Aggadya Sutra. This is how the Buddha explains how we human beings came about and how we go about, how all humans are equal. Okay? So that is bringing down to then of course he says that Brahmins are not Brahmins. Brahmins are those equal people who have more intelligence to study. So they become teachers, okay, you become Brahmins. Those who can fight, okay, you become Kshatriya. Those who can do business become Vaishya. And those who have to do all the dirty work, okay, Shudra. But it is not created by God. It is a natural evolution of human beings. This is the Buddhist stand on how the world begins. Okay? Now let us quickly go through, I have about 10 minutes, yeah? About endings, yeah? Remember creationism and so on? Now we talk about the ending of the world. How many different ways? Many religions in the world, even today, believe in an end of the world. We call this eschatology. Eschatology is the belief in the sudden end of the world. I think you know many religions that do that. Okay? And another name for that is doomsday, Armageddon, apocalypse. All right? Does the Buddha believe that such an ending will happen? A sudden end of the world. All right? In one sutra, the Buddha does talk about, by the way, at one time, lifespans were very large, according to the Buddhism. People lived millions of years. But as degeneration took place, lifespans became shorter and shorter. Today we are about 100 years. But according to the Buddha, this will continue to decrease. Okay? Continue to decrease until a time will come, girls will be married at the age of 5. And we get married at the age of 5, and then all the trouble that comes with that. The world will become very uncontrollable. Okay? And people will become more and more greedy. People will become more and more violent. And as they grow more and more greedy and more violent, the lifespan becomes shorter and shorter until a period will come which is called the sword period. Yeah? The sword period, where people will be blinded, they will kill each other. What you might call a third world war. But the Buddha doesn't use those terms, yeah? But we can sort of fit in. The world will end from 1,000,000 years to 5 years. Then there will be a war where everybody will be destroyed except for a few who will say, no, we don't want to get involved in this fighting. They will go and hide in the caves. Then after 7 days, they will come out. And they'll see all these dead people, and they will realize their mistake, and they say, okay, we will start living peacefully again. Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. As this universe, as the Milky Way galaxy contracts, it will blow up, another one will start. And while it is here, very advanced, other places just beginning. You get that world view of the not 9 planets controlled by God, no. This is huge. That's what I want you to take home, is that the Buddhists understand the universe as huge and no concept of time. That is what it is. And then you will understand the meaning of samsara. If you are going to live for 10 million years, growing old, falling sick, dying, then you will understand why it is necessary to get out. Why it's necessary to get out, okay? And that begins the Noble Eightfold Path lah. Yeah? Right understanding. You'll know why. All right? What is the Buddhist view of the ending of the world? Let go of the past, let go of the present, let go of the future, and cross over. Cross over means get out of samsara. Get out of samsara and become an arahant. When you become an arahant, no more repetition, no more Dhamma talks. Can you imagine that? Okay? With the mind fully liberated, you shall come to no more rebirth. That is the end of the world. On another way of looking at it, which is very useful, the Buddha says one entire lifetime is one split second. And that one split second consists of a rising, a changing, and a falling. Get this, yeah? One lifespan. To rise, to change, to fall. How long does that take? In the scriptures we say, one flash of a lightning. Take a flash of a lightning, divide that into 17,000. 1/17,000th of a flash of lightning is one moment. That's the way there. Today, astrophysics, they say, they talk in terms of a nanosecond, which is 1/trillionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a second. One moment. One moment of your life, rise, change, fall, is 1/trillionth of a second. Got that? So, beginning and ending of the world, the Buddha says, in this 6-foot-long body is the beginning and the end of the world. Just now we talked about all Milky Way galaxy, all big. But the Buddha says, no, don't look at it that way. Look at every moment you are being born, you are dying. And multiply that over 100 years. How many times were you born and how many times did you die in this lifetime? This is what we need to think about and understand the horror of when we say samsara is suffering, mana ada. You see? When we look at all these beautiful things, Malaysia didn't get so badly hit by COVID. We can say, okay lah, life is okay. But is it okay in the long run? That's the message we need to take back with us today. Okay? In the wheel of life, we go round and round. We are running short of time, so we'll go there. There is your one kappa. So remember, we talked about expanding, shrinking, expanding, shrinking. Okay? And in this one kappa, you have an expansion, samvatta kappa. Samvatta kappa, samvatta tai. Expansion, continue expansion. Devolution, continue devolution. So you get samvatta kappa, samvatta tai, samvatta vivatta kappa, vivatta tai. Okay? What do you need to be afraid of? Be afraid of samsara. Be afraid of the fear of death. Death is coming. Death is certain. Life is uncertain. Buddha's words. Death is certain. In fact, I can prove that to you. I'm a good palmist, very highly qualified. If you look, I'm so highly qualified, you look at your palm, I read for you. Okay? You look at your palm, you will see M there. Can you see an M? Some cacat not so well written, but some clear. Ini maknanya satu hari mesti mati. Okay? So why are you afraid of death? The Buddha says, you are very experienced at dying. Every single moment. Yeah? Rising, falling, rising, falling. Okay? So and of course, ignorance. It is ignorance that is our biggest enemy. So if we replace ignorance with wisdom, everything falls into place. So our job is to follow the Noble Eightfold Path. Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Okay? And the 3 characteristics of life which you can never escape from, anicca, dukkha, anatta. And it is that anatta, ignorance of anatta, which is no soul, we think there is an I here, there is a self here. I leads to my, self leads to selfishness. But if you understand that with right understanding, you will understand why it is necessary not to waste time talking about the end of the world, but to consider how do I end my journey through samsara. Okay? That is what we need to think about. This is the last slide. This is from Hamlet, my favorite Buddhist. Shakespeare was a Buddhist, by the way, okay? The story goes like this. Hamlet knows he's going to die. Hamlet knows he's going to die. His best friend says, because they're going to have a sword fight, okay? And the best friend says, you're sure to die. I will go and find some excuse. I say you got MC, you don't come. But Horatio says, no. Repair hither and say you are not fit. Hamlet replies, not a whit. We defy augury. There is a special providence in the fall of a sparrow. He's talking about death. Why are we so frightened of death? But if we think about it, it is something that has to happen. There is a providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, 'tis not to come. If you die now, don't worry lah. You don't have to worry about dying tomorrow. Dah mampu dah. Okay? If it be now, it is not to come. If it is not to come, it will be now. Since no man, aught he leaves, knows what it leaves to be times, let be. Let be. Don't worry. If you're going to die today, then you won't die tomorrow. If you're going to die tomorrow, you're alive lah. Okay? Beautiful. I love this phrase. And so with that, I apologize for talking to you about what the Buddha said don't talk about. Okay? Mindfulness of the present moment. That is what we should all be concerned with. Thank you very much. I was told to stop at 10:20. Ngam 10:20. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Vijaya. We have around 10 minutes of time left for Q&A. So if you would like to tap into Uncle Vijaya's experience of hundreds of Dhamma talks, please, thousands. Please raise up your hand and I'll bring the mic to you and you can ask away. All right.
Uncle Vijaya, good morning. How shall I say, crave for not to be reborn?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It's a very severe form of what do you call craving. Craving not to be reborn. Yeah. The Buddha says, don't try. A lot of the time we stress ourselves out, forcing it. Just let go. Let go means renunciation. All right? Just as much as we want all the pleasant things in life, kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. Tanha, craving. Craving for sensual pleasure. Yeah? Craving for becoming. Craving for becoming means when you are having a pleasant time, you wish it will go on forever. For example, this last one talk, you enjoyed it so much, you wish it will go on for another hour. Okay? That kind of craving. Ice cream, you don't want it to end, etc., etc. Okay? So, craving for... And then the Buddha says, watch out for craving not to be. Craving not to be. If you are angry, you want somebody else finished. You don't want that person to be there. Okay, that is a craving. So there are these. So you have to recognize craving for what it is. All right. Give up the easier things that can be given up. This is renunciation. Start with the easy things to give up. The easy things to give up are material things. Yeah, giving up those extra clothes. Yeah, remember all that you need is food, shelter, clothing, medicine to survive. You don't need Burberry handbags. You don't need $1 million diamonds, which are, to my mind, just stones. Okay? Food. How much food do you need? All the food that is on the restaurant, what do you call those things? Buffet tables. Do you need? Do you need to fill your plate? How much food do you need? How much clothing? One to wash, one to wear. More than that is extra. Go back to your cupboard and look. Yeah? One to wash, one to wear. Medicine. How much medicine do you need? Nothing. You need your own urine. Drink your own urine every day and I guarantee you, either you'll die or you'll get killed. Okay? And then of course, how much shelter do you need? Our needs are so little. So give up those needs first. Then the bigger need like yours, how do you give up that craving for? That will come with understanding. It is not something you force. It's something that grows in you. Enlightenment was not forced on the Buddha. Yeah? Panya udapadi. Wisdom manifested itself. It's all there. Okay? Long time ago, when I was doing public speaking, my lecturer taught me that if you get a question you really don't know how to answer, give a very complicated reply. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody have another complicated question? All right, in front here.
Thank you, Vijaya, for this very interesting, very intellectual discussion, really. I just want to talk about this point, but there will be no answers or so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the 31 planes of existence, really the Deva realm has the most numbers. Perhaps I think 26. And maybe 5 are down, including human, at the lower end. But the suffering ones are really the hell realm, the animal realm, the spiritual or the ghost realm, and maybe to a certain extent the asuras. Yeah? Human is really like in between, like a lower deva. Now, if you look at the number of beings in the whole world, I remember from a scientific point of view, Albert Einstein did once say, E is equal to mc squared, which means energy or matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So if you look at the whole world, maybe not the universe, just our earth, the number of beings is fixed. Maybe how many trillions or trillions. So therefore, each realm have different numbers. But you look at the higher realm like a pyramid. The Deva's realm, very little. And as you go down, the hell realm, the animal realm, more and more and more. Yeah. So if you look at the E mc squared, no beings created, no beings. So if somebody dies, he is reborn as a human, Deva, or down there. But in most cases, I think a lot of people die, goes down there. So therefore, if you look at the number of beings like that, how do we explain, like, suddenly there's a surge in human population? Say maybe 100 years back, it's probably about 1 billion, and now 7 billion. 30 years later, 9 billion, meaning a lot of other beings are transmigrating back to the human realm, right? So is that logical?
Yes,
yeah.
Very logical. First answer would be the E equals mc squared. Now, while Einstein says everything is E equals mc squared within that capsule, of time, the Buddha says that this is samsara. This is the limitation of samsara. But E equals mc squared can be removed. Now, imagine E equals mc squared there. Remove that, what is left? The Tao that can be talked about is not the Tao. It's the only way to explain the absence of E equals mc squared is to shut up. Okay? So that, no, that's only the first part of the question. The second part, so the Buddhist point of view is E equals mc squared can be eradicated. through nirvana, blow off. Okay. The second part of that question is, how is it that these worlds are becoming, don't forget that over the centuries, planet Earth has become more and more habitable. As more and more habitable, beings that are dying in other parts of the cosmos, not just planet Earth, parts of the cosmos, they are dying, and their worlds are becoming uninhabitable. So their worlds are getting destroyed. What do? They become devas, and they come and inhabit our hell beings. Hell is not a permanent place. Hell beings are being released. As much as they are going in there, they are being, as they release, where do they go? To habitable planets. Now with COVID and climate change and all, climate change. This is not the first time the world has ended like this. It's as the world goes through, planet Earth goes through the cosmos, yeah, it experiences this. As planet Earth becomes more and more uninhabitable, we cannot sustain 9 billion anymore. In 500 million years, they say that will happen. This will become dead. Where will we go? We will go and inhabit another planet. Aganya Sutra, start all over again. If that frightens you, become an arahant.